Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lili and Friends. Today I have my very good friend Araceli. Me and her, we met a couple of years ago. She's a girlfriend on a friend of ours, me and my husband's. And she's from Mexico, or her parents are from Mexico.
Yeah.
And they're very fun. I've never met the family, but she's really, really fun. And she loves kids and she loves Leon. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. And she's a hairdresser, just so you guys know. So if you need a haircut, please hit her up. And she's really good, very, very nice girl. So you'll see what she has to say. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited and a bit nervous. And also a bit tired too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, you know that me and Martin, we bought a house and I was working today on the front yard. There are these bushes, like the owners had these bushes have you seen those bushes that look like squares? They're shaped into squares. Well, they were on the side of the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like, that's ridiculous because we can actually use this extra space to, if I need to leave, I don't have to tell Martin to move his car because I can just use that space to get out. So I literally had to take out like, I think 8 of those bushes from the dirt. I took them out from the root and it was so exhausting.
Wow. And did you plant them somewhere else?
No, I'm gonna throw them away because they look horrible.
Yeah.
They're bad. But then I was like, there's 2 palm trees in the house, and I'm just like, I want to get rid of them. I could do it, and now I'm freaking out because it's like that's a lot of work. I need to either have Martin do it or hire someone.
Yeah, because they're heavy as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so that's
seriously, yeah. I thought my uterus was gonna pop out when I was pulling them.
yeah, that's definitely not a job for a woman to do. Oh man. So let's talk a little bit about your background. So you guys don't have kids yet and you just bought a house and you're still dating and stuff. But let's talk about you. Like, let's talk about your background. So your parents are from Mexico, correct?
Yes, they're both from Mexico, from Coatzingo, Puebla. They're both from this little small pueblo. I don't know how do you translate pueblo, like a little small village.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting to me is that pueblo it's pretty small. Everyone knows each other. Everyone knows each other's business too. Um, but what's so interesting is that they never once crossed paths over there. They crossed paths, they met each other and fell in love here in LA. You know, my mom was working as a hairdresser and my dad was working as a cook. Well, he was a dishwasher and then he was a cook and yeah, and then they got married and well before that, yeah, they realized that they were from the same small little village and they knew pretty much the same people. And that to me is pretty interesting and ever since then they've always they're always working. They're hardworking people, and now they have like their own business, and me and my brothers help out in the business, and yeah, it's going pretty good.
Wow. So even though they were from the same village, right, the same little town, they've never seen each other. That's pretty.
Yeah, that is interesting. I just feel like once it's meant to be, it's meant to be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the same thing with me and my husband. Like, obviously, it's in a bigger scale of towns, but like we lived so close together, and like my aunt lives across from his grandma, for
Mm-hmm.
example, and I've never ever seen him before. And my uncle was not my uncle, my cousin, my male cousin, the one that lived across from his from my husband's grandma, was the one who introduced us. And I was like, well. I've never seen him before. And he lives right there because he used to spend most of the time with his grandma. And, same thing with your parents.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's fascinating. And how many kids do they have?
So it's four of us in total. So
Wow,
it's two girls and two boys. And
nice.
me and my older brother are only 11 months apart. And yeah. And my brother, he is 32, I'm 31, and he has four kids.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like that I'm like that crazy aunt that thinks that my brother's kids are my kids. So I'm like not always in yeah, okay, I'm always in their business, but like in a fun way. I like to take them out. I pick them up and we go and we swim in my parents' house and we play and my sister-in-law, I feel like I got so lucky with my sister-in-law because we get along so well.
That's
Like
great.
she's younger than me and she is like I feel like she's like my older sister. She gives me like motherly advice and I don't know, she gives me really awesome advice and I really appreciate it. And she really cares. And I also, I'm really close to her kids and every time my sister-in-law needed a break or something, I would be like, yeah, bring the kids over. They can stay with me for a week or 2 weeks. And, my sister-in-law is like, yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah. That's the best thing, to have family around, and family that are actually willing to help you out, because when you have kids and you're alone, and I speak for myself, it's really hard because, as you can hear on the background, he's crying because he doesn't want to sleep. And
Aw.
this is very exhausting for me and my husband, that we're trying to like get him to go, and he's like, nope, nope, nope. And so he's being in this phase for almost 3 weeks now, and it's very exhausting. So just the fact that you are there and you are available to take all the kids and just be like, yeah, leave them with me, that's fine.
Yeah,
It's a huge help. Like, she
that's what my sister-in-law says. Yeah.
yeah, because again, it's like, and don't get me wrong, I know your sister-in-law loves her kids to death, I love my child to death, but sometimes you just need a break.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
And
And
that's one
now,
of the reasons that he goes to daycare, because I just can't, it's too much sometimes. And even if I didn't have my business, I think I would still put them there no matter what. Because first of all, they need the socialization, they need to learn new things, and they need to learn that they don't need us at all times to survive, you know?
mhm. Yeah,
And
that's so true.
yeah, so I think even if I didn't have anything else going on, I would still put them in daycare for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it helps them develop, social skills and how to interact with people and I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go again, talking a little bit about you. I know that you do hair as well. Did that passion came because your mom was a hairdresser, or how did that go?
I think subconsciously, I think it did. So growing up with my mom, with my parents, we were pretty broke. So my mom didn't really have anybody to take care of us. So she would take me to her salon. And I was born with a shit ton of hair. Like I had this thick, straight, long hair. And she would take me to the salon where she worked at, and all of her coworkers would come and practice with me. At the end of the day, I would be leaving with like an updo, some really tight braids. I was like their practice doll,
Wow.
and and I loved it. I think it was in high school. So in high school, I don't know why, for some reason, I just never really did good in school. It was just really difficult for me to pay attention or to get good grades. It was so difficult for me to get good grades. I honestly, like, if people ask me about my high school days, I don't remember because I was just, I was just going through some stuff, you know? So I got into cosmetology school because I needed credits to graduate. And I went to this continuation school where supposedly all the bad kids went, but it's in reality, it was just kids that didn't have enough credits to graduate, and they helped you there more. So I went to that school, and there was this program called ROP, and they offered nursing, cosmetology license. They help you get a license, or they helped you get some kind of like degree.
Education, yeah.
Yeah, some kind of education.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we have the same in Portugal. It's called a professional course. So
okay.
basically you have this list of courses that supposedly they are easier for you to graduate from the 10th year of school until the 12th year of school. So basically I went on those programs, and so did my husband. And I took a course of how to make clothes, for example.
Oh, that's really handy.
Yeah, I don't like it. Like I hate it, but it was the easiest one for me to do at the time to get my grades to graduate my 12th year of school. And I didn't even go to university. I just stopped there because I hated school too. But I mean, we have the same thing in Europe, just so you know, but continue.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I started, I think, from my 11th grade to the 12th grade until I graduated. I would go to that course. It was a year and a half long, 1,600 hours you have to complete to get your cosmetology license. But yeah, I picked it because I was familiar with the hair industry, I guess you could say. And I remember the first time I did a perm in cosmetology school, it brought me back to my childhood moments when I was helping my mom roll the perms. You know, like back in the 80s or the 90s, you know how perms were really popular?
Yeah.
There were these little old ladies at school that would come in and they would get a perm, like a perm. And then after the perm, we would wash it out and then do a roller set. And in my head, I'm just like, we just did a perm. You don't need a roller set. But all of that was really good practice. And have you ever smelled a perm?
No.
Okay, so the scent is so strong, it literally burns your nose. Like, some people get headaches from perms because the scent is so strong, but for some reason I love it because it brings me back to my childhood when there was these like rows of people getting perms, and I'm just like, oh, this smells so awesome, you know. And
yeah, it's funny. It's funny you're saying that. Sorry to interrupt you again, but I have to kind of relate to you because my dad paints cars in Portugal.
Yeah.
And so the smell of gasoline and the smell of some chemicals that he used and still uses, like, to me, I like it. I like the smell of gasoline, you know, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's too strong. But for me, it's the same as you, you know, it brings me back my childhood memories when I used to go to my dad's workplace and, you know, get all those smells in. I know it's very toxic for people, like the gasoline and all the chemicals that he used to use and still uses nowadays, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that too. I love it. I love the smell. It brings me back to my childhood and makes me feel like a little kid again. And it's just so crazy how smells or scents can just take you back to,
for sure,
a certain feeling.
And music too.
And music, yeah, music too. It's really interesting. But yeah, I've been doing hair and makeup for the last 11 or 12 years. So right after I graduated high school, I barely graduated. Oh my gosh. School wasn't for me. I got my cosmetology license. I started working, and I remember the first job that I had was like have you ever seen like those little ghetto stores? Like, it's like a hair supply store, but all the way in the back, there is like a little like shady salon.
I don't think I've seen it. Maybe in the movies or something like that. Like in real life.
I started working there, and I did a lot of men's haircut, and every haircut was like $7 or $6. And yeah, that was like my first job with my aunt. My aunt was right next to me.
Wow. Hey, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. And then after that, I remember I got into makeup because my professor or my teacher in cosmetology school, she saw that I really enjoyed doing updos and hair. So she put me in this competition. We had hair competitions.
Oh, wow.
And I remember she put me in this hair competition, and she said, okay, you're going to do the hair, and you're going to do the makeup. And I was like, I don't know how to do makeup. Like, oh my gosh, I was freaking out. And then I just started playing with it, and it just turned out to be really fun for me. And after that competition, I ended up winning second place. And we just got a trophy. Obviously, the teacher took it. And so after that, I ended up enrolling in, I signed up at this little school called TNT, where they do like all kinds of makeup, like beauty, prom makeup, TV makeup, fantasy makeup. And it was just like 4 days, and I learned a lot. But then I wanted to expand my knowledge in that, and I ended up going to EI makeup school in Hollywood, which they do like special effects. They show you how to do prosthetics and all of that stuff, and how to mold, and also like sculpting. And that to me was really fascinating. But then I started getting more into the beauty aspect. There was a certain time where I really loved like the gory looks, where all I wanted to do was like scars and make people look bloody and bruised and wrinkly and make them look dead. And then after that, I ended up just falling in love with beauty, and I ended up working pretty much in a couple of salons until recently. I was working in Beverly Hills, and I was doing just makeup, like for TV, for magazines, for photo shoots, for special events, and also hair. And it's a shame because this pandemic came, and that just put everything to a stop, which was really hard for me, because I'm fortunate enough that I can actually go, since my parents have a business, I can go back and work for them. And yeah, I pretty much always have a job. But, I really enjoyed doing hair and makeup, and that just came to a stop, and it was really frustrating for me. But then also at the same time, I felt relaxed, because in the hair and makeup industry, you're constantly always using your body. You're standing all day, you're leaning forward, so your back is always hunched. And I feel like I got a good resting time. But then also it made me realize, like, hey, I'm only getting older. Do I really want to be bending over backwards to do somebody's hair, which I do enjoy and I love it? But it also makes me it's pushing me to either open up my own salon, or I think I was telling you earlier too that I wanted to study real estate and also like psychology. And yeah, I want to do everything.
Yeah, so that's the tricky part about it, is that when you're in a role and you're focused on what you're doing, and you're already doing this for so many years, then you're like, oh yeah, I see myself doing this a little bit more. Then you kind of forget to think about other options, right?
Yeah.
But when something or somebody forces you to like stop what you're doing and think about your life, that's when the reality hits you, and you're like, God, do I really want to do this forever, or can I do something else? Should I try? And that's one of the reasons also that I went into the dog training business, because when I used to be a babysitter, then a teacher, and then I worked for a company that had nothing to do with kids, so it was more like technology stuff. And when I got my son, I was home and I'm like, I need something to do. I can't just be 24/7 baby, baby, baby. I need something to occupy my head while he's sleeping,
Yeah.
like when he's taking a nap, you know. And that's when I started studying to become a dog trainer. Now, with the dog training business, it's funny because I can, I not only can be my own boss, but I can make my own hours, I can make my own rates. I decide what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how often I want to do it. So for
Mhm.
me to have that freedom, I can still work, I can still rest, I can still study, I can still be with my family, I can still be a wife and a mom, you know,
Mhm.
and I still make some money that will pay for my stuff, like for dog tools and stuff like that for the training, but also for like my son's daycare, for example. I'm the one who
Mhm.
pays for that because I feel good providing for my family that way.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say, you know, oh, but you're being a mom and being at home, you do a lot of work and it's a lot of work. And I don't disagree with that. I totally agree with that.
Mhm.
But it wasn't fulfilling me. I wasn't
Mhm.
feeling fulfilled. And now that I have all of this, I have my family, I have my job, I have my podcast, I have friends, I have, you know, now I feel good. Am I
Mhm.
tired? Yes, I'm tired as fuck, but I love it, you know? And so I think occupying our heads with other things, like, I mean, you can still do hair and makeup, you
Mhm.
know, but maybe you can do something else as well. Like we were talking about, maybe you can do, I don't know, psychology and kind of maybe, you know, start helping friends around with your knowledge, for example. And then eventually, if the business actually starts picking up, then you can open your own little, you know, office and just get people in. Now it's hard because with COVID, you know, you don't want to be having a lot of people around you, but you know,
But now there's Zoom and everyone's doing everything through Zoom, and that's pretty awesome. So, but yeah,
yes.
I totally I agree with you. I feel like a lot of mothers tend to forget about themselves and put their kids first, and I think that's a big mistake. Even though I mean, who am I to say that? Because I don't have kids, you know. But I feel like um, a way to inspire people is or a way to help people, it's by just being happy and in love with your life. You know, like I remember reading somewhere that it said you can't get poorer to help the poor. How are you going to help them if you're poor? And it's so true. And sometimes a person just needs to look at you and feel and see that you're so happy and in love with your life, and they can feed off your energy, and they're just like, wow, you know, they feel inspired by that. And I'm a totally big believer in, like, you know, vibration and energy, and like you can create your own life with the thoughts you choose. And yeah, I think when I was in high school, I think I told you too, in high school I was a very depressed teen, you know, me and my mom's.
Yeah, you kind of touched on the topic, but I said let's wait until the podcast because I want to talk about with you on the podcast. So please take it away.
Oh, yeah. So I think I said earlier too, like if people were to ask me about my high school years, like I wouldn't be able to tell you anything because it's totally a blur for me, just because growing up I was such a depressed teen, you know, and I I don't blame my parents, or especially my mom, but me and my mom growing up, for some reason I was the target that she took out all her frustration out, you know. Maybe because I was the only girl at the time, but for some reason she always just physically and verbally abused me for so many years, like since middle school through high school. And I was such a depressed teen that maybe that's why I didn't care for school, because to me it was just like, oh, I'm so dumb, what's the point, I'm not going to learn anything. But I just, I don't know what happened, but I just got tired of feeling this way. And it's just like, I know life isn't supposed to be like this. You know, it's not, you're not supposed to feel this way. And I started reading a lot. I started finding like self-help books, as cheesy as it sounds, you know. I started reading a lot, and I came across my first author that I fell in love with was Dr. Joe Vitale. And the reason why I fell in love with this author was because he was homeless in Texas. He talks about his journey, how he was homeless and now he's like a millionaire.
Wow.
And he just pretty much talks about you can be and do and have anything you want, right? And he talks about his journey, which inspired me to be like, hey, I can get out of this shithole that I was going through. I remember too, I was in the girls' bathroom. I think I was in the 9th grade or 10th grade. But I don't know if I ever told you, but I think I did. I was in the girls' bathroom, and I saw all these girls. You know, you know when you walk in, there's a sink and there's a mirror.
Yeah.
And you can look at yourself. Wow, I was such a depressed teen, not in love with myself, that I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I was just like looking at these girls and wondering, like, how do they do that? How can they just look at themselves in the mirror? Like, I don't even want to look at myself because I just didn't love myself. And
Yeah, because you didn't felt worth enough to even, appreciate your physical beauty, basically.
Yeah.
I was kind of the same way. I wasn't depressed, but I didn't have a childhood per se, because when my sister was born, I was 10 years old. And so my childhood, so before my sister, I always had to like be around with my mom, getting my mom from work and stuff like that. So I had a really tough childhood as well. And so when I entered my teenage years, my sister was in the house and she was a kid like my son is right now. And so it was hard for me because I had to grow up so fast that I didn't even have time to like look at myself in the mirror and realizing who I was until I actually left my parents' house at 19 years old. So, I mean, 20, whatever. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I totally get what you mean. But yeah, go ahead.
But that's awesome that you got to leave at a young age and you got to discover who you really are, you know?
Yeah, I had to actually be very, very stubborn about it because when my husband, at the time he was my boyfriend, he got a job in Germany and we were dating for almost 3 years. And he told me, hey, I'm going to get the job, and if it works, it works with us. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I was like, sure, yeah, let's do this. And I was on my last year of school. So my 12th grade, right? 12 year of school. And it was the worst for me because he wasn't there. He was my right arm. He was always there for me. He's always been, he still is. And he's, to me, he's everything, and he was everything. And so if I didn't have him, I couldn't do anything. So when I was at school, it was really hard, but luckily I had friends, and I still have that friend. She's my best friend. She's in Portugal, and she supported me all the way. She's like, if you need anything, call me in the middle of the night. I don't care. And I'm, to this day, I'm grateful for that because she really, really was there for me. My parents could care less. They're like, it's all right. You'll be fine, whatever. I used to cry every night because I only saw him every 3 or 4 months, if I was lucky. Either I would go to Germany or he would come to Portugal. And it was really hard for me because, again, I was a teenager. I didn't have a childhood. I didn't feel loved. And with him, I felt loved, and I felt that I was worth it. So once that bridge went somewhere else, I'm like, oh, now I don't have a bridge to cross. I don't have a floor to walk. support's gone. So that's why when I finished my 12th year of school, I told my parents, I said, listen, I'm gonna live in Germany. I'm gonna finish school, and then I'm gonna move to Germany. And until the day that my flight was booked, my dad said, you're not gonna go anywhere until that day. And I said, I'm not getting this, like, I'm not approving what you say. And I said, I'm not only going, but you are taking us to the airport. And he did.
Wow.
He did. He did take us to the airport, and he said, whenever you're ready to come back, you have a house, whatever, it's my parents, obviously. And thank God. But I said, I'm not going to need it. And I went to Germany. It was difficult because I didn't know any language rather than Portuguese. So it was really hard for me to get into.
And the language is so difficult.
Oh, yeah. And trust me, I tried learning it, but it's really, really hard. And I know a couple of words, but
I just know the bad words.
No, I don't even know like some bad words. I know like basic ones, like how to say hi, how to say excuse me, or like, I'm sorry, and from counting from 1 to 10, but that's it. Like, I don't know any other words. But going back to it's like, I kind of had to like force my way out of my parents' house to be like, no, I'm leaving because I want to. And if I hit my head on a big wall, then I'll come back,
Yeah.
And luckily it wasn't needed, because then I made my way through there. But, I was lucky that everything went pretty smoothly, but it doesn't happen that way a lot of times, unfortunately, with other people.
Yeah. I wish I was that strong, because I tried to leave so many times when I was a teen, but in the Mexican culture, it's especially for girls, and my parents are so traditional, but my mom was just like, nope, if you leave, you're never gonna come back, you're not gonna be welcome, and you're only gonna leave with what you have on, because all of this I bought. So if I left, I had no car, I had nothing. I there was nothing for me to take. So it was hard. But then also at the age 15, when I was 15, she got pregnant with my little sister. And that was just, I feel like that was just such a blessing in disguise, because my little sister brought so much joy to our family. And at the time, like, now I understand my mom, she was very, I feel like people are always doing the best they can, the best they know how, and I don't feel like she purposely tried to hurt me and do all those things to me because she wanted to. I just feel like she didn't know any better, and she was probably treated that way or even worse, So when my little sister was born, I kind of had to take the role of the mom taking care of her, because my mom was, they had a business. It was, they had just started their business. It was stressful. She had to take care of a family. She had to pay bills. She had to work in the restaurant. Like, we would leave. I remember leaving home from 5 a.m. and then coming back to our house like around 10 p.m. and then doing the same thing every single day. And they never got a day off. So I can totally understand that was stressful, and I can totally see why she would take out her frustration out on me. I'm not saying it's okay, but I understand her now. And I took it upon myself to take care of my little sister. And I think that's where I started to realize, like, oh my gosh, kids are very special. They bring so much joy into your life, and there's just this awesome, I don't know how to say it, like this awesome energy that they just bring. And yeah, I remember my little sister was, when she was little, sometimes she would call me mom. And we would always sleep together. And when I was afraid to sleep alone in the dark, I would be like, come and sleep with me. And she was probably like 2 years old, and she would come, and we both, I introduced her to anime, and she started really getting, she loves anime now. And we would just literally, since I always had to take care of her, I didn't have the privilege of going out to dances or hanging out with friends. I never did any of that because I was taking care of her, because my mom and my dad were always working.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just literally sit in my room, open on my laptop, and watch animes all day. And yeah, and I think I wanted to become, because of her, I wanted to become a better role model. I just wanted to have some kind of clarity that I didn't have when I was younger. And then that's when I found all these amazing authors that really helped me to realize that, hey, we are all individual, unique, beautiful beings, and we're all on this journey, on this path, and it's our own path. So there's no need to compare or to judge or to look at other people and be like, oh, they're doing better than me, because there's no such thing as that. You're in your own journey, and everything is always working out just the way it should be. And I don't know, have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks?
The name is familiar.
I think I told you about them. I don't know, but
probably.
Once I started reading of Dr. Joe Vitale, I actually got to meet him in person.
Oh, wow.
When I started doing all of these self-help books, I started traveling more too, because I wanted to expand my horizons. I just wanted to learn, see what's out there. And I got to meet him, and he was amazing, and he was great. But you know how when you're learning, you're constantly growing, and you just want to learn more and more and more. So because of him, I found this author called Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I told you about the book that he wrote. It's called Memories of Heaven. Mm-hmm. And it's basically about children. So him and his friend believe that children still have this, they're still somewhat connected with heaven or with God, or, because they're so young and pure, they're still connected to that stream of light. Mm-hmm. So I started reading this book, and it made me realize that children are very, especially from like when they're newborns to like 10 years old, or maybe even 13 too, they can still remember. But I was reading this book, and it gave me chills, because it talks about, I don't know if you believe of reincarnation or old souls or past lives, but it just talks about children pretty much sharing their stories, and it's some of the stories are a bit similar, and they just talk about how the parents talk about what they experience with like their 3-year-old or their 4-year-old, and they say that some of the parents say that sometimes their kids say, oh, I want my wings back, where are my wings? And they're crying because they can't fly, because they remember they could fly up in heaven. And to me, that's interesting, and I'm not religious. I'm more like spiritual. So it was interesting to me. But Dr. Wayne Dyer, like I love his books just because he's a motivational speaker. He talks about your thoughts create your reality. And then because of him, I found Abraham Hicks, who I still listen to. And they talk about you create your own reality, whether you like it or not. You create your own reality based on what you focus on. And they say, so why not just focus on something that you want?
Yes, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that, because whatever you put in your head, either you can or you cannot do, you're usually right. And this is a quote that my husband told me once, and it's been sticking with me forever. And sometimes he still says that, and I totally agree with that. I don't believe in anything in particular. I'm more of a like, I believe on what I see,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So, you know, I like reincarnation for me, it's kind of like, it's weird.
There's a book that he wrote that's titled You'll See It Once You Believe It.
Okay,
And
so it's the other way around.
it's the other way around, yeah.
Yeah, but again, we're not judging anybody. Anybody
Yeah, no,
can
no, no, I'm
do
not.
whatever they want, and they believe whatever they want. I I respect everybody, and I have friends, they are atheists, I have friends they are Buddhists, I have friends they are Christians. I have all types of friends. And again, I'm not here to judge anybody, but I just personally don't believe in anything. I used to
Mm-hmm.
be Christian. I used to go to church every Sunday. I used to pray a lot because, again, like I said, my childhood was kind of a BS. And I wanted to find something that I could, get some sort of support, get some sort of, you know, like, to believe in something, to just be okay with being in this world that I was,
Yeah.
you know. And then the time went by, and I saw people that I loved and shouldn't even have anything painful happening to them dying. Like, and it hit me so bad. And I'm like, why is people dying like this? What did they do to deserve this? If
Yeah.
God loves us, because people say, oh, God, God is calling the person or whatever. I'm like, but why is he doing that if he loves us? Why does he
Mhm.
kill people? That was my mentality. I was little, obviously.
Yeah.
And also with my parents' relationship, I tried everything to make the relationship better. And it's not my job, obviously, but as a kid, you're like, you just want your parents to be good with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't. And I tried everything, and I prayed every day, and every day was worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, well, then God doesn't love me. What should I do? And so you kind of start questioning yourself, like,
Mm-hmm.
happening to me? Why there's this people that I love and I care and they care about me are dying, or are they suffering in life? And and that's one of the reasons I don't believe in religion. But don't get me wrong, there's some values in the Christian church, for example, that I think, yeah, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
I could teach my kid this. Now, my kid is not baptized. My parents got pissed at me because I didn't baptize my kid. But I'm going to tell him once it's time, hey, there's this whole list of religions. If you want to read through them, I'm going to tell you what I know about all of them. And if you want to pick one and follow it, and if you want to, choose your own path, go for it. I'm not going to judge you if you want to become, Christian, or, I don't know, Buddhist, whatever,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm not going to imply or like indoctrinate him on anything. I'm going to tell him, here's what I know, take it or leave it, and take it with a grain of salt. Please do your own research and go on with your life. I'll support you in any way. So that's why I'm like, I don't really believe in reincarnation and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
believe in what I see, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why.
That's that's awesome though that you're giving Leon a choice. It's I think it's good just because a lot of kids don't have that choice, you
Yeah, and
know?
I think implying something that you believe into your child, it's wrong, because your
Mm-hmm.
child came in this world because you know, you wanted them to. That's what I believe, because if you don't, if you don't procreate, they're not going to come out of nowhere, correct? So if
Mhm.
they are here, it's because you want them to. Now, that's already a very selfish act. For me, it is a very selfish act, because not in a bad way, in a good way, because you're actually getting someone little that are 50% you, at least
Mhm.
50%. So, having said that, it's already a very good selfish act. So, I don't think you have the rights to do even more and go a little bit more forward and indoctrinate them into religion stuff that you believe, because later on they're going to be like they're going to be in adults, and then they're going to think, oh, my parents lied my whole life. I don't believe in God. I never seen anything up in the sky. So, and then they're not going to trust you. Same thing with, like, anything. Like, I think someone asked me the other day, are you going to tell Leon about uh, what is the name of the guy from Christmas?
Santa Claus?
Santa Claus. Thank you. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to tell him, but I'm going to tell him this. Listen, Christmas time, it's known for family gatherings and presents under the trees, because it's a tradition thing to do. And there's two stories behind it. One story is with religion, which is Christ, Jesus Christ was born or whatever,
Mhm.
like, and then the other one is because the kids in La La Land were being good, and then, that old man with the beard appeared and started giving presents to everybody. Here's what I know. Mommy and daddy buys you the presents, but we only buy you the presents, expensive ones, and that time. That's a special time. And that's because you've been good all year long and you deserve it.
Yeah.
So if you work for those presents that you want them so bad, you got to work for them the whole year. Now, if you want to believe in Santa Claus, which way I just told you, I don't care. Please do. But this is my reality. Here you go. Take it or leave it. Again, do your own research and come back whatever you want to do. But again, I'm going to explain to him why we do it, because I don't want him to come back to me later on and be like, but mom, you lied to me. Santa Claus doesn't exist. I think I will feel really, really bad if I were to lie to him.
If I ever have kids, I'm just gonna tell them, I'm just gonna show them the Home Alone DVD and be like, this is what Christmas is about. There you go.
Yeah, but then they might start being like, shouldn't you go away and
I
we'll
know,
keep the
right?
house?
That's
and then
true.
and then they might have nightmares because they think that two men are trying to get into the house. And yeah, please
That's
don't.
true. I
Please
don't
don't.
know why I love that movie so much. It makes me just, I don't know. It's so funny. It's a funny movie and it's very Christmassy. I like it a lot.
Yeah, but I think the mentality that we had back at when that movie came out, and the
Hmm.
mentality kids nowadays have it's totally different. So we took it as it's a funny movie, a very Christmassy funny movie. But I think nowadays kids will be like, because they're so protected, like they're overly protected from parents, that I think they would have like nightmares and, like, I don't know, like weird thought. Maybe it's just me, you know. But yeah, that's what I think. I don't know.
I feel like kids are so aware nowadays because they freaking have technology at their fingertips. And my little sister that's 15, she's very smart. And I remember when I was 15, I was not that bright. I was like, what? What's going on with today's kids? They're so aware of everything just because, they have information at the end of their fingertip. And Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and so do we. And that's why this world is a bit cuckoo, because everybody has a voice, everybody has a cell phone in their pockets. They can just take them out and say whatever the heck they want. And
yeah.
you know, fight starts and riot starts and shit like that starts. So
Yeah.
we have to be very, very careful. And this is my opinion, obviously. Please take it or leave it, like I'll tell
Yeah.
you on, but basically, I think we have to be very careful giving devices to children. I was very shocked the other day when I picked up Leon from daycare. There was this little girl. She's super smart. She came to me and she started talking. She loves him. She tells him, "Oh, I help him all the time. He knows the ABCs because of
Aw.
me." She's just, yeah, she loves him. So I asked the owner, like, "Hey, how old is she?" And she said 5 years old. And I was like, "Oh wow, she's very smart." And then the owner said, "Hey, blah blah blah," like the name of the kid, "go get your laptop to put on your backpack." And I was like, "What? Wait, hold on. How old is she again?" She said she's 5. And I was like, "She's 5 and she has a freaking laptop?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Damn, I was lucky to get a stick." And I'm not kidding, guys. It's true,
Yeah.
you know? And I was like, I no, this is not right. And she was like, "Well, with a lockdown, the school is doing, homeschool, whatever. Like you have to have a computer. The school's paying for it." I was like, I don't care if the school's paying for it. I don't care if it's the government paying for it. I don't care if Trump pays for it. I'm not gonna give my kid a laptop at 5 years old. It's not happening. I don't care if I get sued, if I go to jail, not happening. I'll take my kid away from this country in a heartbeat if they try to put a freaking laptop in my house at 5 years old. No
Yeah.
freaking way. And then people say, "Oh, you can control that." Oh, yes, I can.
Yeah.
Watch
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Because the moment that the school is going to try to imply something into my kid's brain, I'm going to be like, "Nope, I
Mm-hmm.
will take you out. I don't care if I have to be at home with you and doing school with you at home, but you're not going to get any devices like that." And, people can argue in like, "Well, but, he's going to see other kids at school and with the phone, and he was going to wanted one." I'll be like, "Yeah, he wants one. Go work for it. Go to Starbucks. Cleaning tables. Start getting the trash from the streets. Go work
Yeah.
for it." I only had a phone when I was 13 years old, and that was because I needed the phone to get my mom from work, and my dad was always on top of me because my mom didn't have a phone. My dad will call me to make sure I was picking up my mom and getting my mom from work and then from work to home, and I had to call my dad all times. That's
Yeah.
why I got a phone. And back
What
then,
kind of phone did you get? Do you
oh
remember?
man, I still remember the brand. It was an Alcatel, and it was one that was like a shape of a how do you say, like a shell shape that you
Uh-huh.
like you will put on your ear, and it will shape the face of like your face, like you will be
Oh,
right,
okay.
shaped right on your face. It had a little antenna, a small screen, and you would just type. And the
Oh,
thing
so you
is,
could type with both thumbs?
yeah, it was small enough. Like
That's
mine
nice.
was already small, but my
Okay.
dad had one. It was huge. Okay,
With the antenna?
with the antenna, yes. And then it came. The flip phones came out, and then he got one of
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
Motorola's. He got one of those too. But mine was like, uh, it was very very cheap, super cheap, and you couldn't do much. You could do phone calls, and it was funny because when you're doing a phone call, if you stay for too long in the line, you would hear something like something like that, because you're too much time in there, so your limit is gonna be off. And the text messaging, you could only do, if I'm not mistaken, was 50 characters, something like that. After that, you'll have to send another text, and you will pay for every each text that you send. So you had to be very specific on what you were saying. And I barely use text messaging because, you know, I didn't have friends to call to, because my dad was like, nah, you can only call me and stuff. Not that my phone was blocked, but we were all poor. We didn't have phones.
I think I got my first phone when I was 17 or 16, around that age. And it was and I remember the brand too. It was a Nokia, and it was like a little brick. It was a blue little brick, and it was like this thick.
Yeah.
And the screen was just green and the letters were black. And that's it. There was no Instagram, no YouTube, no Google.
Yeah.
I just use it to call my mom, and that was it. And then I remember too using it, and it would get so hot. But it's just crazy how
those were the best. Yes.
The Nokia?
Yes. I think you had the 3310, right?
I don't know.
It was
like a little blue one.
Yeah.
And it was just like a little blue one, and it just had the buttons in the front and the screen in the front, and that's it. Like no flip phone. It was just
Yes. So the keyboard was gray, right?
Yeah.
And then the screen was kind of like greenish, kind of. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you had the Nokia 3310. I had the one it's the same one, but it was gray. Instead of being blue, he was gray. So it was like the other version of it. But I had the Alcatel first. So the Alcatel, I don't know if you guys had it here in US, but in Europe was like the cheapest brand of cell phones back then. And mine was so cute. And I got so upset when it stopped working, because it was my first cell phone,
Yeah.
But again, like you said, it didn't have any internet, no Instagram, nothing.
Or you couldn't even take pictures.
No.
With that phone. That's crazy.
No. But they were the best because their battery would last forever.
Forever, yeah.
Right? Nowadays, I have to charge my phone every day, pretty much. And it can barely make it because I use GPS a lot for my business. So it can barely make it through a day. It's crazy, man. The times change so much,
Yeah, that's crazy. Totally random question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how do you guys celebrate Christmas in Portugal?
Okay, that's a really good one. So basically what we do is on the 24th, we gather the whole family together around, I would say 5 p.m., something like that. And then we'll all have dinner at 8 p.m. We have dinner with the whole family. And usually the person that you go to is the person who cooks. So they make cod, like boiled cod with potatoes and cabbage and carrots and eggs. Everything is boiled in the same pot, the same thing.
Oh, that's interesting. And cod is fish, right?
Cod, yeah, the fish, yes. It's delicious. I hated when I was a kid, because when you're a kid, you don't taste that fish well, because cod is you need to have, it's kind of like wine. You need to have the taste for that kind of fish. But when you're little, you don't have it.
All you want is sugar when you're little.
Kind of, yeah. And so we have dinner at 8, and then around like 10:30, we kind of like drink a tea or like a hot chocolate, and then we eat some desserts. Like we do it's like a milk cream that we do. So it's I'm not going to be very specific here, because I don't want to give anybody I don't want anybody to be hungry, but it's very delicious. And then we have we make a lot of desserts by hand, and then we have one of those. And then at midnight of the 24th, we designate one person to go get the presents, and that person either wears a hat, like a Christmas hat, or dresses up as Santa Claus. So it
Oh,
depends.
okay.
Yeah. And then they go get the presents and give to each person that says, oh, this is from blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah. And then you give the present to the person, and the person has to open it before you get the other present. So everybody will see what you get, basically. In some
Okay.
families, that's how it is. Like my family, that's how it is. Some other families, they just give the presents, and whoever wants to open then opens them, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then around 1:30, everybody goes home. So everybody goes home, we sleep, and then we gather the next morning around 10:30 a.m., 11-ish for lunchtime. So we do lunchtime around 1, but usually they go a little bit earlier to kind of help out preparing everything because everybody went to bed late last night, the night before. Excuse me. So that's why they go early to help out. And then we have the next day at lunchtime, we have the leftovers of the cod and the potatoes and stuff all mixed in together, and it's delicious. Okay. And then we have some people do a huge piece of meat in the oven that was prepared and like got all the sauce and stuff the previous night, so it's been marinating the whole night basically.
Okay.
We get that with potatoes and rice and salad, and then we gather together the whole day, the 25th, and we still eat the leftovers of the little desserts that we had. And then we have at night, usually on the 25th, we have a little soup, like a chicken noodle soup, but without the noodles. Just a chicken soup, just because our food is very heavy. So and we only eat that during Christmas time, and New Year's is the same thing, by the way. So it gets a bit heavy on your stomach. So we only eat that soup, which is just basically water and chicken, just to fulfill a little bit and to take all the heavy stuff away. And then again, another hot chocolate maybe, and then everybody goes home and starts their business, and that's it.
That sounds
So
like fun.
yeah, how about you guys in Mexico? How do you do it?
In Mexico, they don't really celebrate Christmas like that.
Oh, okay.
But over here in with my parents, the way we celebrate it, since my mom is super, super religious, I grew up with on the 25th, I think that's when Jesus was born.
Yeah.
So on the 25th, my mom has like a little baby Jesus statue, and she would have all of us gather around in a circle, and some of my aunts would bring like their own baby Jesus statue, and they would put it like in a little basket, and we would all just stand together in a circle, rock it, and sing, celebrating his birthday. But before the 25th, I think a very traditional food that we make is tamales. So my grandma and my mom, they get together and they start making the tamales by hand a day before, sometimes even 2 days before, because it's a lot of work. And we start making the tamales on the 24th, early in the morning. And then on the 25th, that's when we actually start to have like a party. We sing to baby Jesus. And actually first we eat, then we sing. And then my dad, for some reason, always dresses up like Santa Claus, and he always has like these big bags of presents for all the kids. And my dad pretends to be Santa Claus, and everyone, all the little kids are like, "Oh my gosh, that's Santa Claus!" And they just start calling out the little kids by name, and they hand them the presents. And Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's so fun. I forgot to say that on the 25th, a lot of families, what they do is early in the morning, they go to the church on the 25th, and they they're there for like an hour to like celebrate the birth of Jesus. We neither did because you know my parents say they're religious, but whatever, they don't go to church. Also, there's another one that it's after midnight on the 24th that it's called uh oh man, I forget now. Uh, we call in Portuguese Missa do Galo. So it's the cocks, like, they do like a little gather together in a church, and they call it something cock. Like it's because of, yeah, the little roosters. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, and it's called something rooster. I forget the name in Portuguese. So, I mean, I know the name in Portuguese, but I'm not translated to English. But basically they do a little gather, and again, we never did because it's so late at night. It's after midnight, and that's when we open the presents. But my family always teases us like, hey, do you want to go to the Missa do Galo now? And I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. I know it's
Yeah.
a joke, and because it never happened, but they make that joke over and over again every single year. And I'm like, guys, it's time to just cut it off. No, it's interesting. To be honest with you, I never liked Christmas. I hated Christmas until I actually started spending Christmas at my own house with Helder, because the way my family dynamic is, it's not a Christmas dynamic at all. At all. Like people will get, because everybody works, right? So people will get
Yeah.
super tired. So between like after we eat like around 9 or 10, whatever, people start getting sleepy and they go upstairs to sleep, and then they come down at midnight all sleepy, and they're opening presents like they're freaking zombies. And I'm like, come on guys, cheer up, let's do something.
Yeah.
Same thing on the 25th. So every time, they're done eating, they would go to their houses or go upstairs and sleep. What you used to do is, because my parents were trying to be good, they would take me to my grandma's house, and then we would gather there. But the thing is, we'd only talk. We would only talk, and for kids, that's not fun, right?
Yeah.
It's just adult talk. So once I started, like, when I went to Germany, it was different, because after that I started spending Christmas with Helder, even though he was within my family, but I was with my boyfriend. And then
Yeah.
what we would do is, when we saw that the people will start like weaning off and getting like their energy getting low, we used to like stay at my aunt's house, the one that lives across from Elder's grandma, and we would just basically cross the street and go to his grandma's house and spend time there, because they were more fun, and then come back for the presents and go back for their presents. And so
That
it
sounds
was,
like fun.
yeah, so it was really, really fun. But the problem is, it gets really cold in Portugal, to the point that the coldness gets in your bones, and I hate cold. So I was to like just run to another house and come back to the other house. It was fun. And that's when I started like liking Christmas, actually, because then I would buy presents for Helder, I would buy a present for my sister, I would buy presents for my parents, and then I would give, we would gather together, and then he would be there. So it was fun. And then when I started doing Christmas here, because in Germany, again, we lived together, but we would always go home to Portugal for Christmas time. But when I started doing that here, it was even more fun, because it was with friends. And I always have a little mini game, which is I choose one person to do a present prank.
Oh, okay.
So it's a present, like a big box, but the the prank is inside the big box, but the actual present it's small and it's inside there, and people has to dig and like we used to do that to my family members. And one time I got so crazy, I got hay,
You
literally
got
hay, and put it on there, and I put like vegetables and cabbages, and like still like some of them were actually rotten, so they would
oh.
smell. It was really fun. And then the person had to have like a a trash bag next to it because everything will go to the trash. And then their present was actually a small thing, and it was nice. And then I would write stuff down like go a little bit more down, or like you're almost there, keep digging, something like that. And then I started doing that here to some friends, and it was hilarious. It was really, really good.
That sounds like a good idea to do to my nieces and nephew. They're gonna be
Yes,
so pissed.
yes. And even adults, I will do it to adults. And
Adults,
I,
yeah.
yeah. And one time I did it to my husband, and it was funny because I was working at a daycare. And at daycares, you have these big boxes because we order a lot of toys and stuff like that. So I hold on to one box, a big box, and I got, what did I get? Oh, we had a girl in our team that she was pregnant, but she didn't know if she was a boy or a girl. So they were printing out papers saying it's a boy or it's a girl. And so I got those papers. I was like, can you just print a ton of it so I can get some and put it in the box so he thinks I'm pregnant. So, and we got him. So basically I put like, I don't know, man, I put trash bags. I put like, not kids diapers. I didn't get that far, but I got like wipes, not used wipes. Like a shit ton of stuff, like papers, like the wrapping papers from like candy stuff,
Oh, okay.
like
Uh-huh.
just in there. And then I had those papers like it's a boy, it's a girl, it's a boy, it's a girl. And then when we had friends here for Christmas, they're like, "Oh my God, Lily's pregnant! Lily's pregnant!" And Hilda looked at me like, "You gotta be kidding me, right?" Because we weren't ready at all, and
Yeah.
I wasn't pregnant. That was from the person, but
Yeah.
he looked at me because he told me after, is like, if this was the way you were to tell me that you were pregnant, I will be really, really pissed.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I knew that. And,
Yeah.
and so he got to the bottom of it, and it was a little teddy bear with paper saying, we'll get to go to Big Bear in March. Because I bought like a cabin. I didn't bought a cabin. I bought a few days in a cabin through Airbnb up in Big Bear, and we always wanted to go there, and it was great.
Oh, oh, that sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
but he thought, and everybody thought I was pregnant, and so
Yeah.
they're like, "But are you pregnant or not?" I was like, "No, I'm not pregnant. This was because my coworker is, and I just got an opportunity to put that in the box." So, and they got
I I just remembered of this one time I pranked Martin on April Fools.
uh-huh.
Uh, we had just started dating, and I don't know why, but I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pretend I'm pregnant," you know. And I ended up getting I want like I didn't know anybody that was pregnant at the time, so I ended up downloading a picture of a pregnancy test, a positive pregnancy test on the internet, and I screenshot it. And the first thing early in the morning on April the 1st, I texted him early in the morning and I sent him that. And you know, when you're on the iPhone, you can see that they're typing.
I don't know. I don't have an iPhone.
So on the iPhone, if the other person has an iPhone too, you can see when they're typing. And he was typing forever because he didn't know what to say, and he was like, "Are you serious?" And then he called and he was like, "Are you serious?" Like, And then we ended up meeting up, and he just looked so pale and so anxious and so scared. And then I didn't know how to tell him, like, it was just, it's a prank. But then I had to tell him, and he was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I'm surprised he stayed with me because we had just started dating.
I'm surprised he stayed with me. That's a good one.
And then he always tells me, he's like, "Please, please don't do that ever again." And when April Fool's is coming, he's like, or when the month April is coming, he's like, "Please, no more April Fool pranks." I'm like, okay.
Oh man, poor thing. He got, oh man, you traumatized him. That's it.
Yeah, I did.
Poor thing. Anyways, this has been great. I have one question though, because I know that you want to have kids maybe in the future. And I always ask this question, and I'm pretty sure you've heard it because you hear all my podcasts. But I have this question that it's the 3 life lesson question. So what are the 3 life lesson life oh, I can't talk. What are the 3 life lessons that you want to pass on to your future kids?
I think one that I have learned throughout my years of life is believe in yourself no matter what. Always, I think you have to be your own best friend and just always believe in yourself. And you can do anything that you put your mind to. You can do anything you want in life. And also dream big.
Yeah. One more.
I think I would tell them that they are enough, that you're enough. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You're worthy, and you're beautiful and perfect just the way you are, and you're in your own unique path. So focus on your own path and don't start looking at other people's path because everyone is different. I think that's something I would have loved to hear is you're worth it. You're good enough the way you are, and you don't have to prove yourself to anyone, and you don't have to make anybody understand you. You're good enough the way you are.
Yeah, I agree with, bless you, Martin. I agree with you. I agree that, you know, even for ourselves, not only for our kids, but for ourselves, we need to think about that. Like, we choose our own path, and we are good enough to do whatever we want to do, and whatever we put in our minds to do, we can do it. And I totally agree with you. I would say the same thing to
And also everything is always working out. Sometimes when you feel like things are not working out, it's working out. It's sometimes we have to experience the darkness to really know, hey, we really want the light, we really want the brightness, and to appreciate the brightness. So to me, contrast is good because it shows us what is it that we really want, you know.
Yes.
So it's part of growing.
Yes, same thing with this COVID thing. I know like a lot of people are without jobs. Like, for example, you, it's kind of hard for you to find a job now. You know, a lot of people are desperate. I understand. And I'm not diminishing anybody here, but this virus came to show that we don't need much. We don't need to always be outside and doing stuff and getting busy. We can chill out, we can relax, we can take a breather sometimes and just relax, you know. And that's one of the lessons I took from this virus, is that just chill. You don't have to see 5 million people in one day and get all worked up and frustrated because your child is not eating or sleeping or doing this or that, because you have to go see 5 million people, you know. So just take it easy, go with the flow, and everything will be okay. And
yeah, one lesson that I learned from this COVID is that men's underwear is so much more comfortable than women's underwear. I've been wearing Martin's boxers every single day, and I'm just like, I'm never going back to women's underwear.
really, I have to try that.
they're so well because Martin has like these, I don't know what you call them, but they're like shorts, but they're so loose and comfy, and I can like put them above my waistline, and I'm just good throughout the day. I'm like, dude, this is comfortable.
Oh, so he has like the loose ones, huh?
Yeah, but then he also has like the tighty whiteys, but for some reason they're just more comfortable.
Okay, well, you know, Helder only has the tight ones, so I'll try and see. I'll let you know. Thank you. I'll tell him to buy a pair that's loose so I can try them on.
Yeah, you're gonna fall in love, and you're gonna feel so comfortable. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'll try. Alrighty. Thank you so much for being here. Maybe we'll do this again. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm down for sure.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. And if anybody has questions or wants to hear more about Sally and us talking or have any questions for anybody, please let us know in the comments below. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.